Jim was a gift.
In 2014, a man from New Hampshire became the first U.S. hostage to be killed by ISIS.
And Jim was brave. Right to the end.
James Foley was a freelance journalist working in Syria whose kidnapping and murder became international news and changed the conversation in the war on terror.
No one paid a greater price than James Foley and those others who have been killed in war zones.
Tomorrow, the first of Foley's killers will be sentenced to life in prison. This moment is personal, it's political, and it's a reminder of what's at stake when people pursue the truth.
There's physical courage, right? For some reason, I have physical courage. But really, think about it, that's nothing compared to moral courage.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our special James Foley Life and Legacy. I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jean Mackin, coming to you live from Virginia. This is the courthouse where tomorrow we will learn the sentence for one of the terrorists identified in the kidnapping and murder of James Foley and 3 other American hostages.
Jean, as you know, one suspect was killed in a drone strike. The other suspects were brought to the U.S. to stand trial. One admitted to the crimes. The other was convicted by a federal jury earlier this month.
And this sentencing, Tom, comes 7 years after James Foley's murder. His family will be represented here tomorrow. They've really been here every step of the way. And for the first time, his mother is revealing that in a room right inside this courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia, she had the chance to meet face to face with one of her son's killers.
It was rather daunting, to be honest.
But nothing could stop Diane Foley from meeting one of the men responsible for taking her son's life. Alexander Cote pleaded guilty to several charges, including hostage-taking resulting in death and conspiracy to commit murder against U.S. citizens. Under an extradition agreement, he will not face the death penalty. He agreed to meet with victims' families. In October, Diane was there in a private room inside the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia.
I really feel Jim would have wanted me to meet him as a person, so that was good.
What was that moment like when you saw him face to face?
I was very nervous about it, but it was good because I was able to see him as a human being, and I think he was able to see us and Jim as a human being.
Diane says she wanted Alexander Cote to know who her son was.
Well, I love this one because I remember Katie running around. She was like 14 months or something, running around the hallways.
Born in 1973, the oldest of 5 children.
And that's James in the red sweater?
Exactly, yeah. He was a very good big brother, Jean. He loved being the big brother.
His sister, the youngest.
4 boys and Katie, the little one.
Yes, yeah.
The little sister to 4 brothers.
The little sister, yeah.
He grew up in Wolfboro. His parents recently moved back here from Rochester, carrying all the memories with them.
This is Jim and my mom, and they were very close. My mother's from Ecuador, and Jim was fluent in Spanish.
Jim, working as a freelance war correspondent, was captured in Syria in late 2012, held by ISIS members nicknamed the Beatles because of their British accents. In 2014, James Foley was beheaded in a brutal video.
You know, they were caught up in all the propaganda and all that led them to do things that at least Alexander now is recognizing was not the best. So I think it was a little bit of healing for both of us, you know?
Incredible to hear you concerned about his healing.
Well, I mean, you know, he too now will go to a jail for the rest of his life, will not see his family or any of that.
Diane and John are now grandparents.
And these are some of our just 4 of our grandchildren in that one.
Willing to face a terrorist as they work to honor their son's life.
It was healing for me. I didn't know it would be, but it was kind of like, wow. You know, it was healing to talk to him.
Did Cote tell you he's sorry?
Not really, no. He wasn't ready for that.
And in addition to the Foley family being represented here tomorrow, the families of the other American victims are also expected to be here at this courthouse for the sentencing tomorrow, and they will also be giving victim impact statements for the case against a second convicted ISIS member.
It will be a big day for the families for sure, Gene. Alexander Cody submitted a letter to the court in which he says he takes full responsibility for his actions. He talks about his upbringing and radicalization and says he's committed to meeting with any family members who want to speak with him. But one analyst who used to work with counterterrorism at the State Department tells us he doesn't believe Cody is sorry.
He tried to justify in this letter the reasons what he did. And the justification to me rings shallow. Essentially 22 pages of those 23 pages are about him, just an exercise in self-aggrandizement to try to buy some sympathy from the court.
Defense attorneys say Cody's letter and behavior since his arrest are reasons to let him avoid the most extreme confinement conditions. Prosecutors and this analyst say that he is still very dangerous. James Foley studied writing and worked as a teacher before turning to journalism. His reporting in conflict zones started in Iraq. He went to Afghanistan and then Libya, where in 2011 he was detained under Muammar Gaddafi's regime. He was held in Libya for 45 days before being released. Foley came back to New Hampshire, but in 2012 he went overseas again, this time to Syria, to cover the civil war there. On Thanksgiving of 2012, he was kidnapped by ISIS. He was held hostage for almost 2 years before his murder in August of 2014. There are 3 key suspects on that murder, known collectively as the Beatles by Katbas, who say the group with British accents, often stuck together. His name, Mohammed Emwazi, the man suspected of actually killing Foley, was later killed in a drone strike. The other 2 suspects were brought to the U.S. to face charges. Al-Shafi El-Sheikh was convicted earlier this month by a federal jury. He was sentenced in August. And the third man, Alexander Cody, pleaded guilty and will learn his sentence tomorrow. All 3 of those suspects also connected to the deaths of 3 other American hostages: Stephen Saltloff, who attended Kimball Union Academy in Meriden, Peter Kassig, and Kayla Mueller. Foley was a freelance video journalist contributing to Global Post, an online news platform focused on international news.
The founder and CEO tried to talk James Foley out of returning to a war zone after the first time he was captured. He actually ended up working very closely with the Foley family trying to free James from ISIS. Tonight, Phil Balboni takes us inside the fight for Jim Foley's life.
I took these out for you. These are the original emails from the captors.
The first email from James Foley's kidnappers was sent to his brother Michael and to Phil Balboni, who was the CEO of Global Post, an online international news platform.
And it says, "Hello, we have James and want to negotiate for him. He is safe. He is our friend, and we do not want to hurt him."
It was November 2013, a full year after Foley vanished while working as a freelance video journalist covering the civil war in Syria.
We have rules. You cannot go to media ever about this, and if you do, we will not negotiate. We want money fast.
In some ways, Balboni had been here before. In 2011, Foley was held hostage in Libya for 45 days, then set free. He returned to Boston.
Right here, big hugs, and we sat here in this office and talked about his future and what would he do. He loved those people. He felt for their pain and suffering, and that's what drew him back.
While working for several media outlets, including Global Post, he was kidnapped from a cafe.
They did offer proof of life to demonstrate that they, in fact, did have Jim Foley. They allowed 3 questions that only Jim would be able to answer. Pretty obscure family stuff, about a wedding and I think a hockey game. The answers came back 100% correct. We knew for the first time that Jim was alive.
but he says negotiations were nearly impossible.
It was 100 million euros, which was about $120 million at that time, or they wanted some Muslim captives released, which we knew the government wasn't going to do.
He says European hostages held with Foley were freed for ransom. The United States stuck by its policy not to negotiate with terrorists.
And I wish our government had been more helpful. They were not. We searched. We sent people into Syria to look for Jim. We had all kinds of sources.
Eventually, a Special Forces rescue mission was launched, but arrived too late. The hostages had been moved. The captors sent one final email.
Railed against the U.S. government, and they said that Jim Foley was going to pay the price.
Did you believe them?
I was afraid that it meant that. I hoped that it was a bluff.
Do you remember when you found out that Jim had been executed?
Of course. How could you ever forget? Sitting in that chair right there. I clicked on the video and had to see that. I mean, I called the Foleys, to say how terrible I felt about it. But it was done. And Jim was brave.
Phil Balboni remains close with the Foleys, but shares a different opinion when it comes to the death penalty.
If it were me, I'd kill them. Without hesitation.
And as he said, Diane Foley is against the death penalty for her son's killer. She'll explain why when we come back.
Incredible story. Plus, more on the job James Foley had when he died and why he was so motivated to keep going into danger.
I believe that frontline journalism is important. Without these photos and videos and first-hand experience, we can't really tell the world how bad it might be.